Serious problems.
Okay, so Jimmy, what's your serious problem?
My serious problem is that we're here in the US having a good time, having the first ever SKIRIOUS camp, but Mika's not here. Mika's sick, and we've had a pretty eventful time here in the US. So, but at least I have you, Vetle, to be a co-host with me. So at least that's good. So I can introduce you a little bit to Vetle for all those that are not on the camp and listening to the podcast. So Vetle, you're Norwegian coach. You decided to coach Alef this year, and so he's with us on the camp in Park City for the next few weeks. So you're here to coach him and to coach us for the next 2 weeks. And yeah, did I miss anything? Do you want to say anything more?
I think that was it.
Yeah,
Pretty much it.
Express yourself, mate.
I think the setup is cool, and it's fun to be with you, coaching Alvar and helping you out. Although I haven't done much yet,
Yeah.
and we've had some problems. It's
Oh,
been a
we've
rough
done
start.
a lot of coaching though.
We've done a lot of coaching, and this camp's been great.
Yeah, I think none of you guys have heard the story we've had coming into this camp. It's been a bit crazy. 2 days ago, we arrived to the house where we were living, and I know, first of all, it was a stress to try to get the keys to get in the place, and then it was just like got in, and everything was like so stuffy and like really dirty.
And we've been traveling for 30 hours, so we were quite tired as well.
So we were so tired. And so I opened the balcony, and I'm like, oh, nice, we've got a balcony. And then I just opened the balcony, and it's like straight into nothing. There was no balcony. So it was like a hole. And we were just like, what the hell? And you know, it's like one thing. So at first you're like, that's kind of funny. And then we like try to make sleeping arrangements. One of the beds is like a double bed, but like it's moving so much. Like if I was sleeping on the top of the bed, like I'd be actually quite scared.
It was like a boat.
Yeah, it was like a boat, yeah. And then the best thing was, I was like, okay, there's like some day beds, so like for that bed, so like, okay, maybe we'll sleep in one of those. So I opened the first one. It's like quite dirty, but like still okay. I opened the second one, and there's like a pack of cigarettes. There's like some like an old lighter and like some old bit of plastic that we were a bit afraid it might be a condom, but it wasn't. So it was just like really, really disgusting. And then, so a bit of a stress. And then, like, oh yeah, we'll just put the AC on upstairs. Electricity's not working on the first floor. It's just a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Did I forget anything?
Not from that, but that was just a start.
Yeah.
There's happened some more stuff later.
Yeah, tell us what happened then.
Well, first of all, we got to the camp and we started training. And the first thing that happens after 2 minutes is that you break one of the girls' pole.
It wasn't entirely my fault. Yeah, that was a bit of a disaster. Beatrice here crashed, right? And then when you just try to get up a bit quickly while I was trying to jump over your pole. But so yeah, I just jumped onto your pole, so that was a bit of a disaster.
Yeah. And but generally day one was really good.
Yeah, day one was super good. We got a good group of guys and girls here coaching, and I think Mika really tried to make it really hard for you guys this afternoon. But then, so then all good. Got home, was a bit tired. Woke up this morning. Mika was whining as usual, but then a little bit more whining than usual, maybe. So we drive off after like a few hundred meters on the car. One of the tires of the car is just like not rolling, and it turns out the brakes are like clamped in, so one of the wheels just wasn't going forwards. And so then we had to park the car and get Tuan to come and rescue us. And then Mika got here, and then I went to the toilet, and I just hear like some noise from one of the stalls, and Mika's like, Jimmy, I think you're gonna have to take care of this one today. I feel really, really sick. So he wasn't even coaching you guys on the camp today, so that was a bit of a shame. But he's got the hotel, I think, and he's trying to recover.
Yeah, I think he's recovering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to involve everybody from the camp. Vetle, you have coached lots of people in Norway. You have some good experience as a coach. What do you think is the biggest difference between this bunch of American skiers and the skiers you usually see in Norway? Like just as a comparison, I was skiing in Lillehammer the other day on the roller ski track, and there was a 6-year-old girl going around, and she was skiing so good and so fast. Is everybody like this in Norway, or yeah? Just tell us, try to compare a bit, and don't say the Norwegians are great. We don't want to hear that.
No, I was going to say that the difference is that these kids are more motivated actually.
Yeah.
And I feel I really like their mindset. Like they're so like they have like this growth mindset, and they're really looking forward to like next winter and the winter after, and everyone's like, yeah, I'm going to the Olympics. And like super clear, they have really set goals, and yeah, in training they're just super motivated and eager to hear what we have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what's the biggest difference then in terms of like Norwegian skiers? Like I grew up in France, and I've seen French skiers ski, and they're like technically a lot worse than the Norwegian kids usually.
I do think there's a difference in like many of the Norwegian kids have access to snow quite early, so they ski a lot. I think that's a difference. But that being said, I really believe in the setup here.
Yeah.
I actually do.
I think the setup we have here in Soho is like actually amazing. Like
it's super good.
We're in a big like room here, like conference room sort of thing. There's the roller ski track right next to us. It's been like everything's been so easy actually.
Yeah, and the food is really good.
Yeah, that's great actually. Yeah.
I heard that the fries here has like 11 ingredients, while the Norwegian ones have 3. But I really like it.
Yeah. Like this is so weird for you guys probably listening, but you know, when we grew up in Europe, we have like kind of this, the US, we're gonna eat all this junk food and stuff. So when we got here, one of the first things we ate was like Taco Bell. And Mika was like so excited. Mika was like jumping around. Oh yeah.
Because that's what he does when he gets excited.
Yeah,
right? He starts to jump.
Yesterday, when he was like trying to make the group do intervals, he was like so excited. Oh yeah, they're gonna hate life so much. It's gonna be great. But anyway, he was so excited about Taco Bell, but it's not so great, right? One of you guys have to come up, say your name, and then tell us what you think we should try out.
I think In-N-Out.
Closer.
I think In-N-Out is probably my favorite.
In-N-Out.
They're more focused on having actual good conditions.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But is that like fast food?
It's fast food.
But it's good fast food.
Yeah, I don't know. They do have one in Salt Lake.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We're kind of wet.
Yeah. Is it so we're in Park City now? So it's like what 40 minutes from Salt Lake, something like that. Thanks. I think everybody listening to this podcast will probably have some other ideas of what we should be eating while we're here.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Like here in Soho, they'll have the Olympics in 2034. What we were saying yesterday, we had like trying to be like a bit motivational, and we were saying that there's definitely going to be one of this group at least. There's going to be the Olympics here in 8 years. I think that's pretty realistic, actually.
Yeah, but I'd be willing to like put some money on that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seriously. Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
Yeah. Nah, for sure. I think when you're talking about motivation yesterday, it's also about how much you want to do it.
Yeah.
And I think when it's like home Olympics, or some of people that are here are not exactly from Park City, but a lot of you guys are from Park City or Utah at least. So it must be extra motivation when you know there's going to be the Olympic Games at home. It's pretty special, I think. But there's going to be a lot of Americans that feel like that. So it's definitely not going to be easy, but it's all a question of how much you want to do it and if you're ready to put the work down.
Do you think you are? Everyone's going to the Olympics?
That's going to be pretty good, actually. There's going to be a big American team then.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Why did you choose to come up here? Like I'm sure this was expensive and it's a lot of effort and it's so much work to get up here. why do you want to come up here and do this camp with us and do like the altitude camp, and what made you pick here?
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good question. I think Vetle can actually answer pretty quickly because like we'd been in the US or in Park City for like 12 hours and he was like, "Oh, I think I need to move here. I think I really like it here."
Yeah, and that was before we met all the kids.
Yeah, that's
Or,
true.
yeah,
Yeah.
the whole group. No, but I think
They're actually not really kids though.
yeah. No, they're not. No, they're not. But the group then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination. First of all, like the training side. Coming here with you, that's for sure interesting. But at the same time, I feel like the camp in particular, it's that was a different kind of challenge. And also, I think the cultural aspect is really, really interesting to see how they do skiing, coaching, the whole setup. I feel like there's actually quite a few things that even Norway could learn from the way they're doing skiing here, because I feel like it's more of a social thing, and it's more of a team spirit feeling
Yeah.
than what Norwegians are probably used to. And I think that's a really great way of doing it. Like, of course, endurance sports are really tough, and you got to go out and do lots of boring work and all that stuff. But the way it's set up, I really enjoy it. There's like pros and cons to everything, but I think that's part of why I wanted to join the camp, to be able to see how they do it. And actually, I'm quite impressed.
Yeah. I think.
Do you agree?
Yeah, for sure. But I think the main reason is because here with altitude, I think we're here in Soho, Soldier Hollow, we're at like 1800 and or maybe a bit lower. But where we are staying is over 2,000 meters. We want to do an altitude camp, so we want to have like the adaptation, the physiological adaptation that comes from staying at altitude for a few weeks. So then this is a good place to try it out, because you have like a whole city at this altitude, whereas sometimes in the Alps in Europe, you need to be staying like at the top of a mountain, so it's a bit more complicated to go skiing and so on. And
there's no people.
yeah. And I think here there's a great setup. There's a super good roller ski track. There's lots of like mountain passes where you can do intervals. There's some cycle paths so you can train. It seems like a great setup, and lots of people have told us about how good it can be here. And I think a lot of it is also about going somewhere that's fun. And I think me, Mika, and Alvar got so motivated by just the idea of coming here. We've been looking forward to come here for ages. And sometimes that's even more important than the actual training that you put down, is putting it down in a place that makes you feel happy and you're having fun. And that's almost as important as the actual training you do. So I think...
Yeah, you can do the same, like you can do exactly the same work, but if you do it motivated, you'll get more out of it, even though you do exactly the same intervals at exactly the same pace. I assume, like, for me as a coach, but I assume for you who are here for training as well, that it's actually motivating and it makes it fun.
Yeah,
to do the camp.
For sure, and it's cool to meet like a completely different environment. Like you guys, I'm guessing lots of you guys have been to Europe. Oh, Europe. It's like a big place, Europe, but like many countries in Europe, nothing compares to the US. It's a whole different culture. It's the same sort of people, because basically it's Europeans that came over here a few hundred years ago, but the culture is like so different. So it's really cool to be able to experience it. Yeah. But talking of fun, I think we had like quite an interesting discussion yesterday about different types of fun.
Yeah.
And I think
they're labeling fun.
Yeah,
in a really cool
way. Tell us about your different types of fun then, Vetle.
We have I've been told the practice is that you're either experiencing type 1 fun or type 2 fun. And type 1 fun, that's fun when you're doing it, and type 2 fun, that's training basically. It's not that fun when it's hard, but afterwards it's really fun.
When you're done with it.
Yeah.
So you love to give type 2 fun to other people, right?
Yeah, that's my job.
Yeah. make it really, really bad for other people, and then then it gives you type 1 fun actually.
Yeah, but seeing that's probably not a good trait, right? I enjoy seeing other people in pain.
Maybe not, but I think you have to have a bit of that to
Yeah.
be a good coach.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
I think for me as well, like joining the British team and seeing how you need to train to become a high level athlete.
Yeah.
I think for me the key thing was also understanding when it's fun, when you can have fun, and when you need to be professional. And for example, when you're going training, then it's like so much fun until you start the intervals, for example, and then it's like kind of a switch, and you see it on lots of athletes that are very professional. They'll be like joking around and having lots of fun and like saying like little jokes, blah blah blah, and then it's like, okay, start the interval, boom, serious mode on, and then you do the intervals, you do the quality, and then you're done, eat a banana, whatever, and then it's fun again.
It's a match of life and death.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
like an hour.
And it's the same with racing. I'm sure lots of you guys have experienced it. It's like you're like having fun, blah blah blah, and then you put your race mode on, and then it's like,
How do you do that, actually?
how do I put my race mode?
Yeah,
I think
are you like the type of athlete who is like you're in race mode from your waking up, or is everything just jokes and banter up until the start line?
Nah, I think it goes gradually. I think lots of people think because they're racing, they're entitled to be idiots or like rude to other people. And I think it's not okay to be rude at any point in time. Like, you can be focused on yourself, but you don't need to be like self-centered either. I think it's also, as soon as more you get closer to the race, more you're going to be focused on yourself and like be a bit in your bubble, but you shouldn't be rude or not nice to other people around you just because you yourself are feeling nervous.
Yeah, we spoke a bit about team culture yesterday as well.
Yeah.
And it's probably some value of transfer to that. And I think it's possible to succeed without like stepping on others' toes on the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You can step on their poles so they break them.
Yeah, that's a good start.
That's another.
Yeah, and he's build up the confidence now. He's already asked one question. Now he's good at a second one.
I know you train with Mika probably quite a bit, and you've probably coached athletes who train with other athletes. Do you think there's a large benefit to training with someone like that you're pretty similar with, or do you think there can be downsides, and in what like scenarios? It's good and bad.
That's a very good question. I think it depends massively on who you are as a person. I think you need to be able to train by yourself. You need to be able to go 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours by yourself training, be in your bubble. You need to be able to do that, but you need to be able to have fun when you're training, but do it in a constructive way. So, for example, I remember when I was about your age, I used to go on training sessions, and then it would just be more about talking and having fun with your friends than actually concentrating on how you're skiing. And you guys are like developing so much. So when you ski, you need to find the good ratio between, okay, I'm focusing on skiing properly, but I can still talk to my friends and have fun. I think, was that... What do you reckon, Vetle?
I think the advantages of being in a team and training with others far outweigh the downsides. Definitely. Like, of course, you can go too hard in some intervals and stuff, but that's details. Yeah, I do think so. Yeah.
You need
it makes it fun. And that's a really important part as well, because.
I actually think maybe there's a difference between fun and enjoyment. I think we were talking with Lucy about this yesterday. Yeah. You can still enjoy being with your friends, and then
there should be some form of enjoyment in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely, it should be. We spoke about it, like talking as someone who never succeeded in any way as a skier. I think I can say that, like, I was a skier until I was more than 20 years old, but I like put everything into it, but I don't regret it at all. And I think both you and Mika who have done really good. You're saying the same, like you can take a medal and you can win a race, but like that's fun for. I think I suggested like 6 hours to Mika, and he said like, no, way less. It was fun for like 1 hour, and then it was like on to the next thing.
Yeah.
I think that just tells us that it's important to enjoy the way there as well.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to say it and other things to do it and actually have a good setup.
Yeah.
Because I feel sometimes people can be like, their mindset can be a bit so that enjoyment and results are kind of fighting each other, or at least that's what they think. That's not the case.
Yeah.
Not at all. If you don't enjoy it, you won't succeed.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, people are different. Some people enjoy being by themselves all the time.
Yeah.
I'm one of them, actually, or at least a lot of the time.
But it has to be.
Ain't.
It also has to be sustainable. Like you're gonna train like thousands of hours. You need to be able to cope with it. Like with everybody here is fairly social. So like if you hate your life for 90% of it, it's gonna be terrible. But I think for me actually, there's been a big difference. I've changed a lot this year because I used to train a lot by myself and always like super focused on what I was doing. And then this year we've been a group of people in Lillehammer that we've agreed, okay, let's just try and like train as much as possible together. And I think we got a massive boost from it. And like we were discussing a bit yesterday, there's always these groups of friends that reach a really high level together because they just keep pushing each other.
And you're learning as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you learn, yeah.
Imagine if you had just stayed in France your whole life.
Yeah.
Or I suppose I suppose you think that you wouldn't have been as good as you are now.
No, for sure not. I think, but I think in life, and especially in skiing, you just have to.
Like nothing wrong with France, but you were training alone, kind of, or at least not in the same setup.
Oh, I had
No disrespect to France.
I get every time we talk bad about France, I get told off by French people. So
France is great.
yeah, good. No, but oh no, I've lost my train of thought, mate. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I think
You becoming good, or like the environment, the power of a group.
yeah, the power of a group. I think like I said, Gus Schumacher, Luke Jaeger, Ben Ogden, all that group of friends like kind of pushed each other to reach a really high level. I think it's there's a lot of strength into that, but you need to make the group better as well and be humble in the way that you are giving feedback to your teammates, not as a way to feel better than them, but just as a way that you actually want them to be better. Because sometimes we give like advice to people just to kind of feel like, oh, I'm so much better than you. I can like tell you some tips how you can become better. But like it comes from a bad sentiment. I think if you're gonna give feedback to your teammates, which I think is super important, because you can feel things when you're skiing, when you're doing technique things that the coach will not feel the same. So it's super important to give feedback to your teammates, but more in a humble way, that you're not expecting anything back, or you're not. Yeah, if that makes sense. That was a good question. Any other questions, guys?
This is a question.
I was wondering if you guys tend to put like harder or like more hours in like the summer train block or the fall train block. Like which one you feel like you like start to really like put in your best, like most training before the race season kind of starts.
Yeah, I think I can answer what I do, and then you can give the answers why it should be like that. So I do most of my training. I build up the first few months, so like May, June. I build up the hours, and then July, August, September are the months where I like do lots of hours, lots of volume, not necessarily super hard intervals. And then getting towards the season, I'll maybe put down a bit the volume of hours, but have harder intervals, because I know that personally I respond quite well to doing blocks of hard intervals. So that's the way I plan my training, and I think lots of people in Norway do similar sort of thing, and the rest of Europe.
Yeah.
And I think probably Americans as well, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's a common setup.
Yeah.
Although I think people probably, I think often people underestimate how well you train closer to the season as well and throughout the winter. And especially for athletes in development, I think like you can taper a lot, but like often with time, you can become better just by training continuously as well. So I think it depends a bit on the kind of athlete, but I think many of my athletes are kind of, they're not on the same level as you are. And for them, I think more often we'll have like a continuous focus on just increasing performance. So we'll train more similarly, I'd say. But for those with like really important races early in the season, like Jimmy and the likes of him, then I think it's more or less like he says, the toughest training comes in summer, and then like through the fall it's gradually like taken down a notch, especially going into the first races.
Yeah. So if you wait until end of November to start training, that's a bit too late. That's probably not going to work. But you've been training quite good now, so there's good hope, I reckon. Do we have any questions in the crowd?
Yeah, I'm Tig, and I was wondering, for like the sprint heat specifically, how do you balance focusing on like the tactics in your own race plan, but then also taking into account like just kind of the craziness of every sprint heat, and that they're not always going to be the same or follow the same path, and everyone has their own strategies and stuff just kind of happens. And so how do you find the balance between your plan and just
Yeah.
I suppose this is not easy to answer for you either.
Yeah, or the way I see it is like you've got strategy and tactics. Strategy is what you plan before, and then tactics is what you choose to do while you're doing it. So I usually have a set strategy. So for different scenarios, so maybe 2-3 scenarios, and then I do a lot now on just intuition. I've done so many races now that I have my plans, and if they go one way or the other, I can just try to take some decisions. And of course, there's a good percentage of chance that's going to be the wrong decision, and there's so many things that can happen. But if you have solid strategy going into the race, I think that's already like a big step. What do you reckon, Vetle?
I'm a bad sprinter. Now that I agree with what you said, I think that was reasonable. And I think it's important to practice it, I think.
Yeah.
Because if you've never done a sprint heat, it's probably a bit harder.
And that's actually the advantage the Norwegians have, because they race in the Norwegian Cup, and it's usually really high level, really tight races, and the level is super condensed. So when you do sprint heats, it stays together, and there's so much tactics going on. Whereas where I grew up, and I'm guessing here is also the same, sprint heats quite often spread out quite a lot, and then there's not that much tactics. It's more like whoever can like push the most watts for the longest amount of time. So, and then strategy is more important than the actual small choices that you take during the race. But I think having a good plan going to the sprint heat, that's like a good way to do it. And on World Cup, we have the advantage that we can watch the races from the last few years. So you can actually watch the whole races, which is usually what I do, like the day before, the morning of the race. I'll watch like the last few years of racing, and then I'll be like, okay, this is a place you can overtake. And
you're quite thorough with the planning as well. Like I remember when we were outdoors earlier, you spoke about like you used to watch the course, and then you like try to figure out beforehand when you would do transition between the different techniques and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's sprints, especially prologues. Like, I don't know how. I'm guessing here is also the same. It's maybe not that hard to go through prologues, but when you're racing World Cup or Norwegian Cup, it's really difficult to go through the prologue into the heats. So then you need to have do a really good tactical, or have a really good plan for what technique you're going to do in the prologue and how you're going to solve the prologue, because there are so many seconds you can gain that are not physical training. They're just how you do corners, how you do an uphill, how you do transitions. That's why we were kind of trying to teach you guys today. And there's so much you can gain on that, and it takes so little training compared to the amount of training you would have to do if you were going to go 5 seconds up a hill. Then you have to put down like hundreds of hours probably. Whereas if you do like a few hours of like really technique, or like learning what corner you're going to do in what way, you can earn so much time. And I think sprints is very often more about that than actual the power you have. And I've went a bit off topic. So when I was really focusing on qualifying sprints, then I would draw the map from my memory. I would draw the map on a sheet of paper, and then I'd do like little crosses for where I do skate 1, then little circles for where I do skate 2, and little whatever triangles where I would do skate 3. And so then I would know just by looking at the map, okay, this is what I'm doing. And I think it's so important to really think, to visualize all that the day before the race, the morning before the race, to like manage to solve it properly.
It's about ski testing. Do you have any tips for testing your skis, specifically classic, before a race? Because this past season I was routinely pretty bad at it. So it's a goal for this next season to improve, but I don't.
Classic skis in particular? Yeah.
And getting a good kick, because I would usually do too little, but occasionally I would have too much on. And so I couldn't find that balance during my testing, or I would just pick the wrong skis. So what are some tips to simplify that or make it easier? Because I just don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
I have one super specific and quite practical tip actually. Find a hill that's approximately as steep as what you're going to do in the race. And then you should be able to do that hill without poles, and don't have like, what's it called? When the ski slips.
When the ski slips.
Okay. You shouldn't experience that without poles. Then your skis are probably like, if you can do that, you have sufficient grip. If you can't do it, it's probably a bit too less or too little. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good feedback. I think it's even it's a learning curve, and honestly, even the best athletes do mistakes when it comes to ski testing. It's difficult. You want to be able to be secure on your wax, but at the same time you need to have the glide. So it's always a give and take sort of ratio. So there's no easy answer. But yeah, I think Vetle's tip for testing grip is probably quite a good one.
But I would have like always before a race, like make a plan for how you're supposed to do it. But besides from that, don't think too much about skis. Like for all of you, and like I'd say 98% of skiers in the world, I think they focus too much on the skis, because up until a certain, like if you want to be at Jimmy's level, like you need to be at like you need to be at like 97% of his level to be able to beat him through having better skis. Did that make sense at all?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. You need to be really strong physically, and then you can start focusing on the skis.
Yeah, but also what's important before a race is to focus on what you can control, actually. Like prepare your bag, prepare your skis, prepare all the things that you can control, do them well. But everything that you cannot control, like if it's going to start snowing, if the skis are going to start slipping, don't use too much energy on that, because there's nothing you can actually do that will affect it. So like what you can control, make sure you're doing a great job at that. What you cannot control, just wait and see and play by ear. Yeah. Any other questions?
Do you think it's important for younger athletes to be like hyper focused on like big races and peaking for like seniors or junior nationals, or do you think it's just good for them to just like keep training through and like just trying hard at it?
I think it's always a tough one, but like there's not that many coaches that can make you peak for a few very specific races. I think you should try to raise your overall level as high as possible, and then do the things that you know work for you ahead of the important races. So if that's like doing a block of training or having a few extra easy days. But yeah, what do you think, Vetle?
I think that, of course, if you're doing like a race that you have high expectations for, of course you don't go for a 10-hour ski the day before. But I think if I were you, I think I'd try out in training. Like, what happens if you actually train as normal and then you do a race? Like, I've had athletes only a few years older than you who have done like 40-hour plus training weeks, and at the same time, or like at the end of that week, they've had like personal best sessions. And that's something you wouldn't believe, but actually that's how it can be. Like, you wouldn't do that before the Olympics or before a World Cup race, but you'd be surprised how well you can perform even though the body feels tired. It's the same like if you watch the Tour de France. In the third week, they're doing really well. They're pushing the same power numbers as they do in the first week, and probably even higher sometimes.
Tice is now going to train like 20 hours ahead of junior nationals.
Yeah, but his nickname is Iron Tice from Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
So he's prepared to put in the work.
Yeah. No, but I think I would focus on raising your overall level. Like, you're not gonna go from being 70th on the race to being top 5 just by peaking. So raise your average level, and then try to do like the peaks up and down. They're quite small. There's only so much you can peak for, you know. So I think focusing on having a good base is the most important.
Yeah, like you could probably peak as much as you'd want, but you'd never beat like Klæbo if he did like he could do a 40-hour training week and
Probably, yeah.
he would still beat you
Yeah.
because his level is just generally high.
Why are you being so mean, mate? He's so mean. So
Yeah, but you're good at other things.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay.
Beatrice is gonna tell me off for breaking a pole.
No. That was actually my first pole that I've broken.
Yeah.
Even worse for your conscience.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask, so I know training culture in the US is a lot different than in like kind of all the Scandinavian countries. I found that like when I was training, I know we were talking about like fun before and like how people see training as like has to be fun. And I remember like last year I got a lot of pressure on my team if it's not fun. Like if I didn't feel like it was fun that moment, it didn't feel like a satisfying training session. And so like all my teammates would have to like I felt like I had to say like it was fun.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. And I think something that flipped my perspective on that was like I looked at how more professional athletes train and how they can be like, this is just what we're gonna do today. It doesn't need to be fun. It sometimes ends up being fun and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah. And I was gonna ask, does like the training culture in Norway with like how everyone's outside and kind of everyone does it, it's more of like a lifestyle than like just another sport that you do, like actually what people say it is.
Yeah, that was actually quite interesting. I think it kind of joins back to what we were talking about earlier. Like,
Definitely don't enjoy training all the time.
no, for sure not.
Not at all. Like I've had athletes like yelling at me and almost like throwing equipment at me because they're hating what they're doing sometimes. But that's like type 2 fun. It's not fun there and then, but when you come in from the session and you take a shower and you have lunch, then you don't regret you did it.
I think it's also about believing in what you do. So like, if you really believe that what you're doing now is going to make you good later, then it's worth it. It's not like it doesn't need to be like you're having.
One thing I
Was
really
it not something that Muhammad Ali said about? I will train. I hated all that I was training, but I did it because I knew I would live forever as a champion or something like that.
But one thing I really disagree with is people who are saying that like a training shouldn't be a sacrifice. For me, that's exactly how I consider it. Sometimes you need to sacrifice something because you want to achieve something with it.
Yeah.
Like for some minutes it can be hard, but afterwards you don't like regret doing it because it's worth it.
Yeah, the way I see it, I'm kind of the ones that I don't like to call it sacrifices. I call it
That's what a sacrifice is.
no, but
That's giving away something to achieve something that's even better. That's the definition of a sacrifice.
yeah, but I call it choices. It's a choice. I choose.
Nah, that's just politically correct.
I just choose to not go out on the party because I know that I will have.
You're sacrificing the party because you want to be a better skier.
Yeah, but if you, it has such a negative connotation to say sacrifice. It's just the choices you want to do in your life to reach your goals.
Yeah, and I think like I've been trying to find a plan that like I feel confident in. Where I feel like my coach is like listening to what I'm saying, and it's like kind of a collaboration more than like you're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Because I have felt like a lot of races I've just been like, you know, I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, and so after bad races, I'd be like, I'm gonna blame my coach because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's important to be able to like find a training plan that you feel good about and like
Trust yourself.
what you're doing. What do you think like after a training session, like is it heart rate that or like pacing or something, or like what would kind of define like a solid training session?
Yeah, I think coach is going to have a different opinion than me maybe, but I think you should kind of have some goals ahead of your training sessions. After a while, when you get experience, those goals will be natural. But my goals, for example, when I do a threshold session is to have like the blood lactate going up throughout the session and not necessarily going too high up at the start and then having to like slow down the pace. So having the pace go gradually up and reach a certain max amount of lactate and not like blow up basically. So for example, if you're doing like 5x5, your goal can be to always have, if you're doing on the same loop, always have shorter time throughout the session. That
But
can be one of the
there's
goals.
a layer behind it as well because you're doing what you're doing to eventually be faster in the race.
Yeah.
So that's always like the ultimate goal.
Yeah, for sure. But like it's kind of like you need to set your goals of what you want to achieve with the session, and that's how you decide a session is good or not.
Makes sense. I'm gonna go to a bit like wider topic here, but I know you guys said when you came to the US, you're like, oh, this is so cool, and I think I love traveling, like visiting different cultures and stuff like that. And yeah, I think like the Nordic culture in the US has like obviously improved so much. Like it was basically nothing,
Yeah.
and then it like it just improved so much. But what would you guys say like as a coach, as an athlete, like are one of the hardest parts about being like a athlete in Europe, and like whether it's like the coaching or like training with other teammates, and like from what you know about the US training, like what are the pros and cons to both of those?
Difficult. I would say like for me when I was at school, most of my friends were not skiers, so sometimes it was really difficult. I'm kind of like FOMO sort of guy, so quite often it was difficult for me to sacrifice parties and like social events because I knew it would be more important to focus on skiing. That was one of the hardest part. But then after a while, then I had maybe more friends in skiing, more friends doing the same thing as me, and then you kind of like you're all together taking those same choices. So I think it's a bit
I
easier.
think the access to good training groups, that's an advantage, at least in Scandinavia, probably. But at the same time, I feel like the culture here is really, at least I like it a lot. That being said, I've only been here though, so it might be that this is really good and another place it's not the same. Yeah, I think the pressure of college, that's something I can imagine is quite tough to handle, because I feel like in Scandinavia it's not the same pressure when you're at a relatively young age to be able to enter college to continue skiing.
Also, studying is free in Norway.
Yeah.
Or you actually get paid for studying.
So I can imagine that that's a bit hard, at least.
And I feel like in the US, it kind of feels like it sometimes feels like there's only a few paths you can go.
Yeah.
A lot of people ski in college, but then it's like, yeah, because not many people do it. It's like you don't have a lot of examples of like all the different ways you can get there.
I think the biggest advantage you've got here is the feeling of being underdogs, kind of like for the Olympics in 8 years. Yeah. I think the hunger for really succeeding as a group and as a team, I think that's something. Yeah, I think that's a bit inspiring with the US team, probably the team spirit, and that you're doing it all together. Like, if one of you comes to the Olympics, it's not like, it doesn't feel like it's a competition within the group in the same way. While especially in Norway, like to a larger degree, it has to be, because the hardest competitor is probably your neighbor.
Yeah. I have one more question about that.
Yeah, go for it.
But is there like for athletes in Norway, if you like don't like what you're doing, if you like feel like your coach and you don't really work together very well, do you feel like there's a lot of options of what to do to like find the right person to help you and to be confident what you're doing, or do you feel like there's kind of like only a couple of ways to do that?
My experience is, yes, there's so many options. That's the greatest thing about Norway, is that there's lots of clubs. For example, Oslo has like 10, 15 clubs, and a lot of them have senior programs or like junior programs, and they will accompany you to reach the high level. There's lots of people with really high knowledge about cross-country skiing. Whereas where I grew up in France, it was there was only one pathway. If you didn't go to the ski school, which I didn't, I wasn't good enough, then you don't get the right opportunities. You don't get the right coaches. I had no idea what to do. And kind of my development got stalled by like maybe 3-4 years because I didn't have the resources. And then I joined the British team, and then I got the right opportunity at the right time. I
You
think
didn't
that's,
give up though.
yeah. And I think
That's a positive.
yeah, but I think you need to persevere and get the right opportunities, because you will get some opportunities. Like we're all born differently. You all have different like plus and minuses, but every single one of us will get some kind of opportunity. And when you get that opportunity, just seize it and make the most of it. That's kind of I was lucky to be half English. I was lucky to suddenly be able to train with Andrew Musgrave, Andrew Young. I was lucky to be able to go to Norway, but I took those chances. I went to live in a country where I didn't know anyone. When I was just like 19, I started training with people that I didn't know. So you need to take those risks. You need to take those chances and seize those opportunities, and use them as much as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the questions.
I was wondering, like, what does, like, training for, like, high-level kids our age in Europe look like? Just, like, in the summer, and then also, like, how do they balance, like, school stuff?
I think you can answer this better, Vetle. I would say in Central Europe, I would say very, very similar to you guys. Maybe it's a bit different in Scandinavia.
No, I think it's quite similar actually. I think it is. I think the big difference I've seen this far, without having like extensive knowledge of how it's done in the US, like different places, I think the one difference is that it's a lot more team-based. Both like in terms of there's more training together, but also like the whole idea of going to training, it's more like it's more assembling of team sports kind of. While at least when I was say 15 in the summer, I almost only trained. I think I did like 90% of my training on my own. And I think for me that was fine because I enjoy to be alone. But
He's a nerd.
yeah, I'm a nerd. Yeah. So it depends a bit, but I think for many it's an advantage to be able to do it in a group because it makes it fun for longer. And that's important.
Yeah.
And for a lot of younger athletes, I feel like there's a threshold which also varies a bit. Like I would maybe assume like it's somewhere between say 12, 13, maybe up to even 17, 18 years old, where like it's a bit different. Some people are like fully committed to doing everything like pro level athletes, while others are like still a bit too young and they need to do it like have a focus on the fun part or the enjoyment part for a bit longer. But then they realize it's time to like really want to go all in on this and train properly. So being able to like get through those years, and then maybe when you feel like you're able to and ready to, then you can like commit fully to doing everything professionally. I feel like for me, for example, in team sports and like in soccer, I feel like when I quit when I was 13 or 14 and I wasn't that good. And I think that was because I feel like there wasn't that much opportunity to like train and play since I wasn't good enough. While in skiing, I didn't quit because I still felt like it was fun. And like maybe 2 years later, then I was really motivated by trying to train properly. And I felt like that kind of athlete mindset that came to me a bit later. And then I at least got a lot better. Yeah.
Good answer.
Good question.
Yeah. Emmett.
Coach and an athlete, what are your opinions and thoughts on multi-sport, especially with younger athletes that we are? And how do you think we should balance that? Like, I think a lot of us have experience with our different sports, like our coaches telling us, oh, you have to come to our practices if you want to race, or you got to spend more time with our team, or I'm not going to race you, or whatever. So what are your thoughts of that? How is it different in Europe?
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about this yesterday, and Robert said that like he sometimes didn't go to the practices, but just got selected anyway for the races because he was too fast. And I think no, but I think that hits the nail. Like it's a value to be able to do different sports. I was doing lots of different sports when I was younger than you guys, and I think it makes you more aware of your body, of your movements, and you see it immediately when you coach adults that haven't done so many different sports when they're kids, and adults that have done different sports when they're kids. The ones that have done sports, they learn so much faster. The ones that like haven't done sports, they're so useless. They're like kind of like, oh, what? This is my arm. I'm trying to move it, and it's actually impressive. So I think the value of being able to do different sports is massively underrated. And in Norway, for example, we have junior world champion in cross country skiing, Jørgen Norhaugen. He was doing professional cycling at the same time as cross country skiing, became world champion cross country skiing, and then he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna focus fully on biking in my senior years. And I think that's a good example of how you can definitely do both to reach a super high level. And for running, it's even better because you cannot train 20 hours of running a week because you're going to get injured. But you can easily train 20 hours of skiing a week. So just do your normal training hours for running and then just add the skiing on top. And then you'll definitely be better in both. You agree, Vetle?
Yeah, I agree. And there's also like you're learning how to acquire skills by doing different sports.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, I feel like sometimes going to school is not all of the topics you are having in school that you will use in a way, or some things is like, let's say I'm never, probably some of the classes I did in school, I'll never have any use of it. But what I will have use of is the ability to learn, if that makes sense. And with training, it's kind of the same, by doing different sports, being in different environments, different coaches, being able to adapt. That's also quite important. I think that's really important for a skier, actually, being able to adapt to like
different terrain.
Yeah, but also like mentally.
Yeah.
To different situations, like, oh, now it started snowing and it's 10 minutes till my race. What do? You do you get stressed out, or do you focus, like you said, what can I do something about? and in general, that's also something. Doing different sports, it's just giving you a broader skill set.
Yeah, but I also think that like you give yourself time to choose, like do it as long as possible, and then you can choose. As long as you choose skiing at the end, it's all good.
There, his question was. Robert with the questions.
Only one question, but as someone who's raced at a high level, such as yourself, like how did you balance getting an education with training however many hours a week?
Yeah, I think, but I mean, I think you guys in the US have the perfect setup with your colleges being able to have a group of people training and then studying at the same time. I've studied in France, and I am studying actually still in Norway, and I'm in Europe, France, Norway. You can study at your own pace. So I studied 75%, or first few years of sports sciences that I did in France. I studied at like 70 or 100% the first year, 75% the second year, and 75% last year, and then another year at 50%. So instead of doing 3 years, I did 4 years. But then in Norway now, I'm studying at 50%. And honestly, it's definitely possible. And as long as you have a university that wants to make you succeed, and again, you do the work to reach your goals, definitely possible. I know people that juggle between work, studies, training, and it's possible. I mean, I spend lots of times editing this podcast and studying and doing training up to 30 hours a week. So it's definitely possible. But it takes organization for sure.
Yeah, you need to be structured.
Yeah.
But that's possible.
Yeah.
I was wondering how important you think it is to go train with other teams and see like a different coach's view on training, like get it from.
Yeah, it can be. What do you reckon, Vetle? I think it can be useful for sure. I think it's also sharing knowledge with the other athletes more than the coaches. Sometimes if you have 5 different coaches and you cannot choose to have one coach, then it just gets a bit messy. It's important to have one coach that's your coach, and then if you're talking to other coaches, then discuss those training ideas with your main coach. I think that's important. But I think it's good to share knowledge with other skiers, especially when it comes to technique. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, Muzzy told me like tiny tip for classic technique, and it just changed. It was like mind blowing. It was like I discovered a whole new world, and then I could ski much better after that. And it was just one little thing that a coach would never tell you, because they don't experience it the same way an athlete does.
Yeah, maybe.
The tip was it was actually a great tip. When you're doing striding, is you feel like you kind of, when you push back, you feel like you kind of replace your foot at the same place as the other one. So you kind of like jump from one ski to the other, and then while staying in like an aggressive position and everything. And it would be easier to demonstrate it, but like it really, really helped me technically. Yeah. Right, I think there's been quite a few questions. Our short podcast of 30 minutes turned into well over an hour. So, yeah. It was good. Thanks for asking all these questions, guys. And thanks, Vetle, for replacing Mika.
Yeah, but I'll say thanks to everyone attending the camp and to the organizers.
Yeah.
Including you.
Yeah, thanks for Soho for being such legends and making this camp possible, actually. And thanks for everybody taking part of it. Right. This is SKIRIOUS Problems, over and out.
Serious Problems.